Plans for 3 new Eton-affiliated sixth form colleges across England have been approved by the government today. The Eton Star colleges will be located in Dudley, Middlesbrough and Oldham. The trust behind the schools, Star Academies, says the aim is to get young people from deprived areas into top universities, but not everyone is supporting the idea. David Land is trustee of the North East STEM Foundation, a charity that supports improving education within STEM subjects, that's science, technology, engineering and mathematics. Very good afternoon to you, David. Thanks for joining us. So you're not in favour of these plans. Why is that?
Well, it's not so much I'm not in favour, and good afternoon. I think the education needs to start earlier. And I think processes like the University Technical Colleges, of which there are 2 approved today, are a great example of that. You know, getting education right is about many factors, not just the facilities. It's the culture within the building. It's the quality of the teaching staff. But most important, it's about the students and understanding the student needs. So there's a lot of the sort of recipe to get this right needs to be addressed, and just getting a building isn't part of that solution. And I'd like to see it happen at an earlier stage in secondary education.
So there are often calls for more investment in the north of England, especially when it comes to education. Surely that's got to be a positive sign.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not going to knock in terms of the fact that it's got there. But I think, if you are going to put your investment, and there are limited investment around, it's about making sure you put the right investment in the right place. And starting at sort of 16 isn't necessarily the right place for me. Starting at sort of 11 and 12 is a much better place to start.
So, as you're saying there, the plans focus on further education, but you think it should be more of a focus earlier on. What difference would that make?
Well, I think it's about getting square pegs in square holes. There's a lot of, one-size-fits-all type of approach by education, trying to cover all bases, but trying to understand whether a student is a creative, is an analytical type person, whether they're academic, whether they're practical based, is important. And the earlier you start that, the better. At 16, that's sort of too late in the process. It must be done earlier so that you can get the right pipeline filled with the people that are going to stay within the industries that they've selected.
What do you think of the association with Eton?
I'm sorry?
What do you think of the association with Eton College?
I don't have a problem with that at all. I think it's fine. I think they boast a little bit about, I've read the press release this morning about getting students into Cambridge and Oxford. That's great. But we'd like to see them aligned to local universities, Durham, Newcastle, Sunderland, etc., Teesside.
And what else would you like to see the government focusing on?
I think for me, it's about listening to industry and getting things aligned in terms of, I think you listen, it's not just one size fits all, it's that recipe of different things that help education succeed. And for a long time, it's been a very isolated entity. It needs to embrace industry. What are industry's needs for the next 10 years? And what do industry really want to see the students come? And have we got the right student in the right place? So it's about working with students. In a class of 20, there are 20 individuals in there. They've all got different needs. They've all got disparate aspirations. They may have different family backgrounds. And unless you start to address that, you'll not get the bigger picture right at all.
These are kind of old. These questions have been around in education for quite some time now, haven't they? Why do you think they're still not being addressed?
I think pretty much because they sit in isolated towers and they don't talk across the broader spectrum. I said at the top, it's not just one element that needs to be corrected. It's a number of elements that need to be put right. So they need to embrace those and talk and be prepared to talk to other people to hear how best to improve the system.
Well, thank you for joining us here on LBC News. That is David Land, trustee of the North East STEM Foundation, a charity that supports improving education within the STEM subjects.